leaders in Davao City to discuss the humanitarian crisis in Marawi City. The AFP places the Maute terrorist death toll at 65 after a week of clearing operations in Marawi City.
This is PTV News. Good evening. I'm Catherine Vital with Richmond Cruz tonight. In the news tonight, the Senate supports President Rodrigo Duterte's decision to place Mindanao under martial rule. In a resolution, the upper chamber of Congress found the declaration as constitutional and in accordance with the law. It says there is no compelling reason to revoke it. Joy Gumata reports live from the Senate. Joy?
Kathy, a landslide vote of 17-5 in favor of the Senate resolution of martial law and the suspension of the writ of habeas corpus in the whole of Mindanao led to its immediate approval, with authored and passionately rebutted by Senator Juan Miguel Zubiri. It was followed by a heated debate whether or not to support the Senate resolution urging the Congress to conduct a joint session so that they could be able to systematically discuss the urgent need of the executive's proclamation considering the current situation in Marawi City. Senator Kiko Pangilinan, as the author of the Senate resolution, emphasized that the Constitution requires the legislative branch to hold a joint session as it provides them an opportunity to suggest recommendations to avoid abuses on the exercise of power under martial law. Majority senators were not moved by the minority's explanation, setting it clear that a joint session must be done if and only if the Congress sees the need for a revocation. However, at this point in time, majority senators emphasized that the revoking martial law declaration is not being called for, hence they see no need to support the minority's resolution. Taking into great consideration the alarming realities shared by the security advisors of our chief executive on a closed-door briefing held yesterday, 17 majority group senators believe that martial law is an urgent order from the head of the state to exercise strong counterattack against Maute Group and other terrorist forces in Mindanao. The session ended with an irrevocable decision to approve the resolution expressing support on the declaration of martial law and with a vote of 9-12 in favor of the revocation of the resolution urging the Congress to hold a joint session. That's it for our latest news here at the Senate. For the nation, Joy Gumatay.
Thank you, Joy.
Meanwhile, Malacanang welcomed the Senate's expression of support to the president's move. Presidential spokesperson Ernesto Abella also stressed that the executive branch needs the cooperation of all to bring back peace and order in Mindanao. More of this report from Rocky Ignacio.
President Rodrigo Duterte thanked the 15 senators who supported Proclamation 216 or the declaration of martial law in Mindanao. Despite criticism, some lawmakers believe that placing Mindanao under martial rule will help to immediately regain normalcy in the area, particularly in Marawi City. Presidential spokesperson Ernesto Abella said the president acted swiftly and determined to resolve the crisis in the area. The executive also acknowledged the importance of cooperation with legislature and judiciary at this time. This is to win the battle against the enemy of the state in order to retain peace and order, not only in Marawi but in the entire Mindanao. President Duterte continues to monitor situation in Marawi City. The AFP also continued the airstrike to avoid collateral damage. Spokesperson Ernesto Abella encouraged the Maute Group to surrender when there is still an opportunity to do so.
First, precision airstrikes have been judiciously used to prevent collateral damage and employed at specific targets of resistance to protect our troops and to hasten clearing of the city of terrorist elements who continue to resist. We call on the remaining terrorists to surrender while there is an opportunity. Civilians killed by local terrorist groups as of yesterday, May 29, has been 19. Civilians rescued, 560.
Although the government maintains its policy not to negotiate with the terrorists, Abella said President Duterte is open for a possible dialogue with the Maute group.
Well, already he has opened the doors, right? I mean, as you can very well see. But the mere fact that he states it, that means to say that he's open to it, and if the mechanism is he has opened it, and there should be some adequate response to that. As you can very well see, that the way he has run his cabinet, it's from left to right, right to left, top to bottom. In other words, he's very, very open to dialogue. So his sincerity regarding the matter should not be questioned. Yes.
But sir, there's an ongoing operation. So where is the opportunity for them to come in and?
They can always back channel, right?
Okay. Is there an appointed emissary for this? Or?
Well, that I don't know. But if so, they can always find a way.
But sir, isn't it the policy not to negotiate with terrorists?
Not to negotiate with terrorists, definitely. But in this particular case, we have that's already policy. Okay, so I will not presume on that. The only thing I can respond to is the fact that the president himself has said that he's open.
The AFP reported that 65 Maute members have been killed, while 20 on the part of government forces in the continuing operations in Marawi City. Abella said the operations are to neutralize the Maute group, clearing and rescue operations, as well as distribution of relief assistance for the affected residents. For the Nation, Rocky Ignacio.
An ad hoc assembly of key cabinet officials on national security, peace and order, the military and the president's staff will pay a visit to Congress's lower house upon their invitation for an exhaustive Q&A on the president's recent declaration of military rule in Mindanao. PTV's Marita Muahe narrates more of the particulars of this upcoming congressional inquiry in this report.
The House of Representatives is set to convene itself into the Committee of the Whole tomorrow at 9 in the morning to tackle the martial law report of President Rodrigo Duterte. Some of those invited to attend are Executive Secretary Salvador Medialdea, Armed Forces of the Philippines Chief of Staff and incoming Department of Interior and Local Government Secretary General Eduardo Año, Department of National Defense Chief Delfin Lorenzana, and National Security Advisor Hermogenes Esperon, among others. This is the right time for members of the Congress to ask their questions.
Malinaw naman yung report ng ating Pangulo, pero siyempre yung mga miyembro ng Kamara, meron ding mga katanungan, yung gustong magtanong, itanong na para maliwanag.
In an interview with House Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez, he reiterated his support for the martial law declaration in the whole of Mindanao. The Speaker also said that there is a possibility that both houses of the Congress convene before the 60-day period ends. In the event that the President asks for an extension of the martial law, the Constitution clearly mandates the Congress to convene and by a joint voting, extend or revoke the same.
Pag halimbawa, sabihin ng Kongreso na ay hindi dapat mag-declare ng martial law. So kailangan namin mag-convene, joint session. Pero kung wala namang objection, bakit tayo mag-convene?
As a Mindanaoan, Alvarez supports the martial law rule in the region in the interim. He says one of the mandates of the President is to protect the Filipino people.
Pag tiga doon ka, mafe-feel mo na kailangan talaga. At tama yung ginawa ng Presidente. Pagka hindi ka naman tiga roon, tiga rito ka, o kung tiga saan ka, medyo tumahimik ka na lang muna. Kasi kami yung concern kami doon Security namin yun.
Meanwhile, the Muslim legislators in the Congress have fully expressed their support for the President's declaration of martial law, and with this enjoined everyone to pray for peace in the region. For the Nation, Marita Muahe.
They may be far away from the area of conflict, but Muslim leaders in Manila's Quiapo district feel the suffering of Marawi residents affected by the terrorist attack in their fallen city. And they are in support of Mindanao being placed under martial rule to restore peace and order in the region. Alan Francisco reports.
chance. Bigyan natin ng pagkakataon si Presidente. Kasi mula doon, mula Ramos, mula Jamie, Erap, Noynoy, ang Abu Sayyaf na dyan, ang terrorist na dyan, hindi nasolba. O baka ito ang solusyon? So ang kailangan dito, nandito na si President Duterte. Kailangan malalim, kasi yung sistema bulok na talaga. Kailangan mabago sa panahon ni Digong. Kaya sa akin, pagbigyan natin itong tao na ito, kasi ito lang ang Presidente. Kahit taxi driver, sariling pera niya ang pinagawa ng sticker or whatever.
This is how supportive the Muslim community in Quiapo, Manila, particularly those who are in Manila Golden Mosque, on the implementation of martial law of the administration of President Rodrigo Duterte in Mindanao, where majority of the residents are Moros. According to the government, the martial law is being implemented to protect the innocent civilians from the Maute terrorist group in Mindanao, specifically in Marawi City. Haji Ersad Mali, the administrator of the Manila Golden Mosque, is confident on the action of the government to restore the orderliness in Marawi and to have an everlasting peace in Mindanao. He does not see any problem if the martial law will also be implemented nationwide.
That is their duty, to protect the lives of the civilian in armed forces. The President, he is the chief of the armed forces, di ba? Kung ikakabuti, bakit hindi? Kung ikakabuti sa atin lahat, bakit hindi, di ba?
Meanwhile, Mali also contradicts the alleged belief of the Maute terrorist group that what they are doing in Marawi is for all the Muslims.
So para sa akin, un-Islamic. Kasi un-Islamic ang ginagawa nila ngayon. So wala yan, walang sabi mo jihad. Anong jihad? Definition of jihad to implement the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So ano ang law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Compassionate, peaceful, gano'n. Pagmamahalan, huwag yung opsyon kagad magpatayan. You are shouting in the organization of the Islamic Conference, you are the legitimate representative of the Bangsamoro people, but you are destroying the life of the Bangsamoro people because of this idiot idea na makipaggera ka sa loob ng city.
For the Nation, Alan Francisco.
President Rodrigo Duterte and MILF leaders met in Davao City yesterday to discuss the current humanitarian crisis in Marawi City. MILF Chairman Alhaj Murad Ibrahim welcomed the President's idea for the MILF forces to help in extending necessary humanitarian assistance to civilians, which are still trapped in areas of Marawi where sporadic fighting still happens. Modalities of cooperation would be established between the government of the Philippines and the MILF. The President also assured the MILF leaders that the martial law declaration is not against the MILF, MNLF or NPA, but to quell the rebellion of the Maute group and other ISIS-inspired terrorists.
Meanwhile, it's day 8 of the government's clearing operations in Marawi City. Philippine news agency quoted AFP spokesperson Brigadier General Restituto Padilla as saying that as of 6 p.m. Monday, the Maute terrorists have suffered 65 dead. Of the 65 Maute group terrorists killed, around 42 were confirmed by body count and the remaining 23 through eyewitness reports. Government losses are placed at 20, including 17 soldiers and 3 police officers. Wounded are placed at 72, with 69 AFP and 3 PNP personnel. Padilla said the number of rescued civilians are now at 560. Meanwhile, the National Disaster Risk Reduction Management Council says the heavy fighting between government security forces and the Maute group in Marawi City has so far displaced a total of 14,353 families, or around 70,953 persons in Region 10 and the Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao.
Meanwhile, the AFP renewed its appeal to the media and netizens to help protect government forces by not posting nor giving information on their locations in the ongoing operations against the Maute terrorists. It said the terrorists are monitoring the movements of soldiers and policemen. Here's Eunice Samonte with the details.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines reminded the public to be sensitive in sharing and posting photos of soldiers in their respective fighting locations. This is still in connection with the ongoing war in Marawi that could possibly slow down the military's operation. The location of our soldiers is top secret and should not be disclosed to the public. According to the commander of 1st Infantry Division, Brigadier General Rolly Bautista, the enemy is also constantly monitoring the next moves of our troops. He also mentioned of the challenges they encounter, like the civilians being used by the terrorists as human shield.
Depende kasi sa lawak ng area and yung dami ng kalaban doon, no? Pag sinabi mong lawak ng area, sa urban kasi ang concept doon is you are clearing room by room, floor by floor, and building by building. So yung punestan ngayon ng kalaban is a commercial center. So basically, mga high-rise building yan, may pipes. So definitely, we cannot tell the time. On the aspect of the enemy, it will also again depend on other terrorists that will be coming in. The more numbers that will be coming in, then there will be more resistance. So definitely matatagalan.
The AFP also reminded the media to be careful in their video telecasts as this will trigger help in the ISIS sympathizers within the area. Meanwhile, the AFP Chief of Staff General Eduardo Año also divulged the plan of the local terrorist group to burn the whole city of Marawi during the observance of Ramadan. According to the Chief of Staff, based on the information obtained by the military during the continuing clearing operations in Marawi City, the sinister plan was preempted when the AFP surprised the ABCF leader Isnilon Hapilon when they raided his safe house in Barangay Basak, Marawi City. The AFP leadership also paid tribute to the 15 soldiers who have paid the ultimate sacrifice and the 61 who were wounded in the action in the campaign to drive the terrorists out of Marawi City. Reporting from Marawi for the Nation, Eunice Samonte.
Like all good commanding generals and military chiefs, the country's top cop paid a visit to the ongoing siege in Marawi City to check on the men and women of the force and military, especially those fighting on the front lines. PTV correspondent on assignment Eunice Samonte narrates the PNP chief's restlessness and anxiety over their condition, his wishes to join them in battle, and the newest intelligence gathered over a scorched earth planned by Maute Group during Ramadan, thwarted by government coalition forces in the nick of time.
The situation in Marawi is quite peaceful now compared to the amount of bombings and firefight during the past few days, a proof of the effective military offensives against the local terrorist group of Maute. High-ranking officials are also arriving every now and then to see the real situation of the area, including PNP Chief Police Director General Ronald Bato de la Rosa. Past 10 o'clock in the morning, the helicopter of the Chief PNP flew back to Manila from 103rd Haribon Brigade. As he visited the wounded policemen, the Chief PNP also gave moral support to the troops on the ground.
To boost the morale of my troops, just a plain moral booster. I want them to see that I am here. At ako rin, mapapalagi rin ako pag nakita ko sila. Hindi ako nakakatulog while andito sila, malayo ako. Yeah, I want to visit them and to know what's the real situation.
In his interview with PTV News, Police Director General Ronald Bato de la Rosa divulged that he initially planned to lead his men in fighting the local terrorists, but he was not allowed.
Ito nga sana pero pinagbawalan ako Ayaw nila. Maraming violation na mangyayari pag kasama.
He also supported President Rodrigo Duterte's declaration of martial law, as this will eventually help in eradicating terrorism in Mindanao. The Chief PNP also gave financial assistance to the affected refugees and to the policemen injured during the war. Reporting from Marawi City for the Nation, Eunice Samonte.
They may not be sister cities, but their inhabitants and residents share a common heritage, native tongue, and are Mindanaoans. So when one is in distress or in dire need, the other rushes to provide aid. PTV's Kirby Cristobal filed this report on a preliminary assistance of relief food items, bottled water, and $1 million in cash from Davao City, ready to go at any moment's notice to the beleaguered and battle-stricken city of Marawi.
The Davao City government was set to deliver 1 million pesos worth of assistance to the affected residents of Marawi City amidst the firefight between the military forces and Maute terrorist group. According to the information given to PTV News, Davao officials were coordinating with the armed forces of the Philippines for proper delivery of the relief assistance to the affected areas. About 500 sacks of rice are on standby right now and ready to be sent anytime to Iligan City, where some of the Marawi residents evacuated. The local government was only waiting for the go signal of the military in providing security assistance for safe travel. Hold and secure method is still in effect in the city of Davao, and intensified security checks in entry and exit points are ongoing even to its coastal areas. No report was recorded in the city of violation of human rights since the implementation of martial law in Mindanao a week ago. The city is wide open for evacuees affected by the continuous operation of the government troops against the Maute terror group. For The Nation, Kirby Cristobal, Davao City.
PTV News returns with the business stories right after some important messages. Stay tuned.
Unang iwinagayway bilang simbolo ng ating tagumpay laban sa mga Kastila, hanggang sa formal na pagpapahayag ng kasarinlang tinatamasa nating mga Pilipino at ng ating bansa. Ito ang bandila ng Pilipinas. Mula noon hanggang ngayon, simbolo ng ating katatagan at pagkakakilanlan. Mahalin natin, igalang at ipagdiwang.
President Rodrigo Roa Duterte is in Russia for an official visit. He declared martial law in Mindanao on May 23. A series of attacks from terrorists and extremists occurred in the island. The areas of Basilan, Sulu, and Tawi-Tawi are included in the declaration. To find out the situation in Mindanao, the president has cut short his visit in Russia.
That as of 10 p.m. Manila time, he has already declared martial law for the entire island of Mindanao.
After martial law has been declared, within 48 hours, the president needs to submit a report in Congress, either personal or written. It is stated in our Constitution that martial law and the suspension of writ of habeas corpus is effective only within 60 days. The extension is up to the Congress decision. Martial law can be negated by the majority of votes in Congress. The Supreme Court can also question and decide on the declaration of martial law within 30 days. President Duterte's declaration of martial law in Mindanao aims to protect the residents who are being ruthlessly killed by local terrorists. The proclamation of martial law in Mindanao also aims to eliminate the fear of the Filipinos that the chaos in Mindanao is spreading throughout the country.
Do not be fooled by fake numbers. Know the real numbers. From July 1, 2016 to May 23, 2017, the Duterte administration has successfully conducted more than 59,000 anti-drug operations, arrested almost 79,000 drug personalities, assisted almost 1.3 million drug surrenders, and neutralized more than 3,000 drug personalities.
For our business news, NEDA Chief Ernesto Pernia warned that a scaled-down version of the proposed tax reform for acceleration and inclusion, or TRAIN bill, would have dire consequences on President Duterte's Build, Build, Build program, as well as other anti-poverty programs under Dutertenomics. Pernia was reacting to the substitute House bill for the first package of the administration's comprehensive tax reform program, which is expected to generate only half of the potential revenue than the original bill proposed by the president's economic team. According to Pernia, failure of Congress to pass the original bill would force the government to scale down its massive infrastructure program.
Yeah, because we always have to, we need to balance, spending, indebtedness on the one hand, and capacity to pay and service the debt on the other hand. So instead of 10 projects, maybe just 1 or 2. So it's not going to be the golden age of infrastructure. It will be the bronze age, maybe, of infrastructure, or maybe dark age of infrastructure. So that is how terrible, that is how unwelcome the non-passage of the CTRP is going to be. And, we have all to realize that. And people should rally with the administration to motivate, to urge Congress to pass the bill, especially, of course, the first package and the subsequent packages have to be passed.
The excise tax to be levied on all sweetened drinks or beverages will not bring down the incidence of obesity as much as it will burden just about every man, woman, and child who drink juices, sodas, energy drinks, pre-packed powdered coffee, or any sweet beverage in the market. PTV's Trixie Jafar reports on the stiff resistance this consumption tax will meet growing given its unpopularity with a nation that can never be weaned from sweetened drinks.
Retail owners and consumers despise the bill seeking to impose excise tax on sugar-sweetened beverages like soft drinks and energy drinks. The said bill aims to address and fight the growing obesity among Filipinos due to fatty foods. Convenience store owner Romel Albo disapproved the said bill. He reiterated that this shall only add burden to their business because soft drinks is considered as one of the primary consummated product in the market.
Hindi naman natin masasabi na maano yung mga customer na bibili kaagad. Epektado, hihina yan. Maghahanap sila mas mura. Kunyari, mga juice na lang yung bibili niya kaysa soft drinks, mataas na. No? Against ako dyan kasi sana maanuhan nila na pigilan yung tax na yan.
Consumers like Arlene Javier stressed that additional tax levied upon sugar-sweetened beverages is unacceptable. She added that majority of the Filipinos will not be able to afford since many are earning a minimum wage salary.
Ay hindi kami pabor magtaas ang presyo ng soft drinks kasi isa pa dadagdag ng bayad ng buwis tapos hindi na siguro makaka-afford bumili ang mga tao kasi hindi naman ganun kataas ang sweldo ng tao ngayon.
Although many disapprove the bill, seeking for tax increase on carbonated drinks, some consumers expressed their support.
Kailan naman din po yung kasi lahat ng mga bilihin tumataas eh. Yun lang po, dapat magtaas din ang sweldo.
The bill defines sugar-sweetened drink as non-alcoholic beverages that contains caloric sweeteners, added sugar, or artificial non-caloric sweetener. This includes fruit drinks, sports and energy drinks, sweetened tea, coffee, and all ready-to-drink non-alcoholic beverages in powder form. Should it be enacted, it would charge 10 pesos for every liter of sugary drinks. For the Nation, Trixie Jafar.
Trade Secretary Roman Lopez said the clashes between troops and terrorist groups and not the declaration of martial law will drag economic activities in Mindanao. Lopez said business operations and economic activities in Mindanao remain normal except for Marawi City where clashes between government troops and the Maute terror group have been taking place for a week now. He mentioned that plans and ongoing projects of companies like Davao still continue despite the declaration of martial law. He added that the business community has not raised any concerns over martial law in Mindanao.
Duterte ng martial law sa buong Mindanao. Kabilang ang Basilan, Sulu at Tawi-Tawi noong May 23 habang siya ay nasa Russia para sa isang opisyal na pagbisita doon. Agad din niyang pinutol ang kanyang biyahe sa Russia upang alamin ang sitwasyon sa Mindanao.
That as of 10 p.m. Manila time, he has already declared martial law for the entire island of Mindanao.
Matapos magdeklara ng martial law, kinakailangan sa loob ng 48 oras ay magsumite ang Pangulo ng ulat sa Kongreso, personal man o nakasulat. Nakasaad sa ating saligang batas na epektibo ang martial law o ang suspensyon ng writ of habeas corpus sa loob ng 60 araw lamang. Nasa Kongreso na ang desisyon kung ito ay palalawigin pa. Maaaring ipawalang bisa ng Kongreso o bawiin ang batas militar sa pamamagitan ng boto ng mayorya ng mga miyembro. Pwede ring questionin ng Korte Suprema ang deklarasyon ng martial law at dapat itong desisyonan ng mataas na hukuman sa loob lamang ng 30 araw. Ang pagdedeklara ni Pangulong Duterte ng martial law sa Mindanao ay upang protektahan ang mga residente roon na walang awang pinapaslang ng mga local terrorist. Ang proklamasyon ng batas militar sa Mindanao ay upang maibsan din ang pangamba ng mga Pilipino na ang gulo sa Mindanao ay lumaganap na sa buong bansa.
Despite the government panel's withdrawal from the fifth round of peace talks in the Netherlands meant to be held on May 27 to June 2nd, the National Democratic Front said the working groups of both parties can continue holding the bilateral consultations because the peace negotiations are still on. The GRP backed out after the Communist Party of the Philippines urged its armed wing, the NPA, to launch more offensive strikes across the country. With President Rodrigo Duterte's declaration of martial law in Mindanao. Despite the impediment, NDFP panel chief negotiator Fidel Agkawili said all processes and conditions previously signed and agreed upon for the peace process remain binding, operational, and in effect. In the same light, GRP panel chief negotiator Silvestre Bello III maintains this is just a temporary setback and that the respective committees will continue to operate so that they will be ready once talks resume.
Yet another pitch and rallying call for support was aired out in an auspicious infrastructure groundbreaking right by one of the president's men who pleaded to gather and unite behind the national leadership in bringing to end the crisis in Marawi City. PTV's Ria Fernandez with more in this story.
It has been a long time since Joelyn last visited her aunt in Vimapa in Manila. Her reason is the difficulty to travel from her workplace in Antipolo City. When the traffic flow is okay, she's lucky to get there for only 1.5 hours. But almost 2 years from now, Joelyn can travel back and forth daily from her aunt's home using the LRT2 East Extension.
Sobrang malaking tulong po kasi hindi na po ako magdadalawang sakay, tapos isang sakay na lang po pag nanggagaling ako dun sa tita ko.
The Phase 2 construction will start on June 6 and is targeted to be finished by August 2018 to be finally opened to public on the first quarter of 2019. This is the LRT2 East Extension after the Phase 1 construction. Now, once the Phase 2 is completed, Emerald and Masinag stations will be added, benefiting passengers coming here in the province of Rizal, as well as nearby cities of Pasig and Marikina going to other places in Metro Manila. The previous 3-hour bus or jeepney ride from Recto to Masinag will be reduced to 30 to 40 minutes only. Roads will also be decongested as the train's daily ridership is seen to rise from 240,000 to 320,000. However, according to Transportation Secretary Arthur Tugade, expect heavy traffic during the construction.
Magpasensyahan muna tayo kung may dudulot na inconvenience o hirap. Pagkat at the end of the day, magkakaroon tayo ng tuloy-tuloy na sarap.
But alternate routes are designated for those coming from Antipolo to Cubao, as well as from Cainta to Katipunan or Aurora Boulevard, and Cubao to Antipolo. For The Nation, Ria Fernandez.
More Filipinos who lost their jobs or are overstaying in Saudi Arabia are expected to be back home this month. This as the amnesty program being implemented by the Mideast Kingdom draws nearer to its June 25 deadline. More of this report from Kim Feliciano.
With their bags full of years of hard work, over 200 overseas Filipino workers with their families from Jeddah were welcomed back in the country. Another batch of repatriated OFWs under the government's amnesty program. According to Brigadier Dulay of Overseas Workers Welfare Administration, the amnesty program in Saudi Arabia will be ending by June 25. This is why the government is repatriating as much Filipino workers as it can, as they can be arrested in Saudi if they stay there past the said date.
Information ang tanggap namin galing sa post sa Jeddah ay 200 ang darating ngayong umaga, pero nakita nyo naman higit sa 200 na yan, siguro nasa 250 na nakatawan kasama ngayon sa umuwi. Kasama dyan yung mga nanay na may anak at saka yung iba natin mga kasama sa kabayan sa Saudi na sumama na rin sa amnesty. Pero hindi nakalista. Kinuha rin natin sila.
Right after their arrival, the OFWs underwent a briefing where OWA officials enumerated the benefits they are entitled to from the Welfare, Employment, Livelihood and Legal Assistance or Assist Well program of the Department of Labor and Employment. Some of the OFWs wholeheartedly thanked President Duterte and the whole government for bringing them back home.
Maraming salamat po sa mga tulong po.
Matagal ko na po itong umuwi.
OWA also clarified that these repatriated OFWs can still go back to Jeddah, as long as they could assure that an agency or licensed employer will be hiring them. For The Nation, Kim Feliciano.
3,389 out of 9,645 takers passed the May 2017 Certified Public Accountant Licensure Examination. Making it to the top 5 were examinees from San Carlos University in Cebu City, Dr. Filimon C. Aguilar Memorial College in Las Piñas, and St. Louis University in Baguio City. The licensure exam was given by the Board of Accountancy in the cities of Manila, Baguio, Cagayan de Oro, Cebu, Davao, Iloilo, Legazpi, and Tacloban in May. The date and venue for the oath-taking ceremony of the passers have yet to be announced by the Professional Regulation Commission.
The way of life and ease in doing business for Makati residents in the mega city's premier financial district got even more expedient and convenient with the introduction of a one-ID debit credit fits-all card. PTV's Jervis Manahan reports on the debut of this Makatizen identification and all-purpose card that'll make life a whole lot easier for its residents.
Transactions in Makati City will soon be modernized as a memorandum of agreement between the LGU and Globe Telecom was signed earlier today. Together, they launched the Makatizen card, which aims to facilitate cashless transactions in the city. Salaries of employees will go directly to the card, and residents can also use this to pay fees and taxes. The card also functions as an ATM card and a government ID. Stores and shops enabled for cashless transactions may receive these cards too. Makati Mayor Abigail Binay and Globe Telecom CEO Ernest Koo led the signing. Binay says this is the realization of her father's dreams for Makati.
Ang maganda po sa Makati Zen card ay hindi lang yung papel, pwede pang gamiting pangbayad, pwede sana lang may laman yung card nyo. Pwede nang gamiting pangbayad ng kuryente, pangbayad ng tubig, pwedeng pangtasa ng load, pwedeng pang online shopping, at ang maganda pa, meron kayong rewards program.
For the Philippines to truly become a nation, one of the things we want to do is create a purpose to build a better nation. And what we are experiencing or going to witness here today is a manifestation of that.
To prove how this works, they tested it to a fishbowl vendor. As of now, it is offered only to Makati residents, but they are planning to extend it to Makati workers. For The Nation, Jervis Manahan.
An erstwhile administrator of the Philippine Coconut Authority who is under investigation on graft and corruption charge is not alone in his quest for justice and to regain his vacated administrative post. PTV's Lala Babilonia elaborates on the gesture of support from coconut farmers for the embattled executive who persists on his innocence and his readiness to face and respond to all the charges in this report.
Densh was one of the 50 coconut farmers who came to the Philippine Coconut Authority to show their support for PCA Administrator Ka Billy or Avelino Andal.
Aralin natin sino nga ba yung mga taong nakikinabang sa mga pondo ng kaban ng bayan ng ating bansa. So si Administrator, nakita namin na taos-puso ang kanyang pagtulong sa mga maralitang magsasaka.
Ang Coco Levy Fund o ang Coco Levy ay kinuha sa mga magsasaka. Kanino ko dapat ibalik ang perang kinuha sa magsasaka? Di dapat sa mga magsasaka rin.
To be recalled, Andal was placed under preventive suspension due to alleged graft and corruption charged against him. Earlier this month, Andal reassumed his post as PCA administrator. Andal said he is ready to answer all the allegations. In the resolution of the PCA board dated May 15, Deputy Administrator Glenn Santos was assigned as the officer in charge of the agency replacing Andal. It was also implied that Andal resigned from his position. However, this is not true according to his legal counsel.
The current administrator, and still the administrator of PCA, never resigned from his position. Never. There was no resignation letter or any form of letter intimating, directly or indirectly, that he resigned. Now, saan nakuha yung anggulong resignation?
Andal said he is willing to be investigated and answer all the issues. For The Nation, Lala Babilonia.
The internal cleansing in the PNP continues without let-up. The latest to be apprehended is a policeman from San Mateo, Rizal, allegedly involved in robbery and extortion. Lala Babilonia filed this report.
NCRPO Police PO1 Reynaldo Barreto was nabbed in an entrapment operation at San Mateo, Rizal. Barreto is now facing robbery and extortion after asking 150,000 pesos from a complainant in exchange of dropping its case, which is possession of drug paraphernalia.
Hindi sa akin yun, nung klaseng pera. To his defense, hindi ko na lang i-discuss kung paano ang version niya, but we have the complainant, we have the affidavit, and we were able to conduct entrapment ang naging successful naman.
Barreto is the 27th police officer arrested by the PNP Counterintelligence Task Force or CITF as part of its internal cleansing. The PNP CITF is urging the public to continuously report police calawags to their hotlines.